Well, okay, this is a big week. The course kind of comes to a big culmination this week. Week 12, it's hard to believe as usual that we're here. This is where you actually write your paper this week. You have no choice but to turn it in. This is critical. You turn it in for peer review. And let me tell you something quickly about peer review. Students often don't like peer review. They don't feel like they get any meaningful input, or input irritates them. That's fine, okay? You don't have to accept the input. You don't have to feel good about it. You can be irritated if you want, or you can be frustrated that you didn't get good input. What happens with peer review, though, is you get a chance to look at other people's papers, okay? And you can see what they're doing well. You'll know. Okay, you'll know intuitively if that's a good paper or not, okay? So take a look at other students' papers, see what they're doing well. If you find something that they're doing really well that you don't think you're doing so well, imitate it, okay? That's not stealing, that's not plagiarizing, all right? I'm not talking about taking somebody else's work. I'm talking about look at what they're doing well and model that. That's modeling, okay? So that's what this week's about, some peer review, giving you a chance to get the paper written, all right, to get thinking about it, and you're going to turn in a polished draft to me. You're not turning in a rough draft, you're turning in a polished draft. This week, you're actually not turning in anything to me, you're turning in the written paper to peer review. Now, I'll check to make sure it's there, but I won't be reviewing it myself, okay? I'm just going to check to make sure you made the deadline. These deadlines are firm, these deadlines are clear. You have to be doing this, okay? Paper itself, of course, to me, is due on the 30th, right after Thanksgiving. So you have time here to get the paper written, to get the peer review done, and then you actually turn it into me on the 30th, and then I give you one chance only to revise it. So this is your chance now to get it written on time, to get it written to your satisfaction, then get it turned in for peer review, and then revise it yourself before you turn it into me. Don't turn this same draft into me. I'll be very irritated, okay? So this is a big week with a lot of work to it, a lot of reading. Okay, the readings themselves, make sure you read chapter 19 in your textbook about writing the research paper. Please don't sit down and write it until you've read that chapter, okay? And then also, please be sure to look at the web link from Purdue. It's reading number 2 this week about plagiarism. I've already caught 2 students in my W131 class this semester. Just outright plagiarism, okay? It wasn't even accidental. It was just outright, okay? I don't think any of you are going to do that deliberately yourself, so don't do it accidentally, okay? I'm trained. I know how to find plagiarism. I hate it. I am entitled to flunk you for the course and turn you into the dean, okay, if you plagiarize. So don't even think about it. So the point is to avoid accidentally plagiarizing. So make sure you read the second reading, the one from Purdue, a webpage about how to avoid plagiarism, okay? Now, there's 4 critical lectures this week. They're absolutely critical to writing a good research paper. I want to tell you, if you turn in a junk draft to me, you cannot get an A no matter how much you revise, because I don't tolerate that. I don't tolerate junk drafts. All right, so you need to turn in your best effort when you turn it into me. After you've turned it into your peers, okay, then you revise it, and then you turn in your best effort to me, because I only give about 10 revision points. All right, when you revise, I give you upwards of 1 letter grade. I'm not going to give you 3 letter grades. So if you turn in a D or C paper, don't expect an A. Okay. Now let me tell you what I'm looking for. Okay. The lectures go over this. I have a very good, very strong AV lecture about writing well-focused paragraphs. All right, I really want your paragraphs well-focused. The lecture explains that in detail. Then there's also a web page about reviewing about topic sentences. Okay, you can't have a well-focused paragraph without a topic sentence. Then I talk about in-text citations. There's a web page on that. Get your citations correct. This is a 200-level course. And then a very important one about is using your quotations effectively. All the time I see paragraphs with no quotations in them, or the quotations just kind of garbled in there. Don't do that. Use them effectively. Okay, so it's a very important lecture. Don't take any shortcuts this week, all right? Let me tell you how I will be grading your paper. It's in the syllabus. It's page 4 of the syllabus. Page length, I absolutely demand that. Don't give me any nonsense. Oh, well, I could write what I wanted to say in 8 pages. No, we're talking about a developed research paper where every paragraph has examples, illustrations, development, expert testimony, that kind of thing. And I guarantee you'll make it to 10 pages if you develop your paragraphs, okay? So I'm looking for page length. That's worth 10 points. These are all subtractable points. I don't do math. I'm not teaching math. I'm teaching English, okay? But I subtract points from 100, right, if you don't do these things well. So you can lose 10 points if you don't reach page length. If your topic sentences are poor, you can lose 5 points. Paragraph focus, if your paragraphs are really long and huge and wandering around, okay, you can lose another 5 points. If your paragraphs aren't developed well, if they don't say anything, if you don't use any expert testimony, any evidence, that kind of thing, you'll lose 5 points. Students, sometimes to make page lengths for stuff, will just write an editorial. They just ramble on paragraph by paragraph. Oh, I think this and I think that. Who cares what you think? Nobody cares. All right. What they want to know is how do you support this opinion? Where is the evidence? Okay. Where is the beef? That's what makes a paragraph. All right. So don't just be rambling on with the editorial. Okay. So you lose 5 points if you don't develop your paragraphs. Tone and detail. That's you lose another 5 points there. That means when you aren't. It's not so much a matter of language. It's junk words. Do you have a lot of junk words, a lot of throwaway words, a lot of I feel, that kind of stuff, I think, blah, blah, blah. Or do you repeat the same language over and over again? Do you repeat yourself? Do you repeat the same phrases? Do you use vague words like it all the time? Don't do that. Use very specific language. Don't be repetitive. Use language that has a good tone. You don't have to say I think, I feel, that kind of thing. We know you wrote the paper. We know you're thinking this. We don't suspect that your dog did this, all right? Quality of sources. By now you know what I'm thinking about your sources. Do you have academic sources? You lose 5 points there. If you don't. Critical thinking. All right. Are you using strong logic? Are you thinking clearly about this subject? Are you not making rash assumptions? You know, you can't say something like everybody knows. That's not true. You can't say everybody knows. You know, so are you avoiding logical fallacies? Don't forget, there's a whole section in your textbook about logical fallacies. That's what I mean about critical thinking. Are you looking below the surface, below the conventional wisdom? Are you relying on your research to help you formulate your opinions? All right. Analysis. Do you actually make meaning out of all your research, or do you just dump it out there? You know, is this just one big long encyclopedia entry, or do you actually make meaning out of it? All right. And that's what you do with strong topic sentences. Integration of quotes. You must use quotes skillfully. That's basically just saying according to, or one author writes, or one researcher reports, comma, then the quote. It's that simple. All right. Citation. Don't forget in-text citations. We haven't really gone over those so much. You know, I've looked at your works cited list plenty now, and I've repeated myself blue in the face about that. I'm not going to tolerate any mistakes in your works cited list. Okay. I will help you a little bit with your in-text citations. Introduction, thesis statement. If your paper doesn't have a strong introduction with a strong thesis statement, the paper itself is going to be weak. But I'll give you a chance to revise that, okay? But by now your thesis statement needs to be pretty good. Conclusion, that's worth 5 points. All it has to do is match your introduction in some fashion. Not word for word, but it needs to be like a mirror image. It needs to kind of reflect your introduction. You know, you start here, and the paper needs to end back there. Paper can't end someplace else, all right? The organization. There's no right or wrong organization. Basically, it just means did you stick to your thesis statement? That's all you have to do is stick to your thesis statement. Your paper is automatically well organized. Right? Transitions. Does the paper flow well? On the one hand, on the other hand, in the first place, in the second place, that kind of thing. Surface features. You know, it's a 200-level course. Get it right. Get your grammar right. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Make sure you get this done on time. I'm checking. Okay, peer review is critical. It's a skillful exercise. As I said, if you don't like the input, that's fine. Look at other people's paper and see how they're doing it. Don't be lazy. Work on your revisions. Do not turn in, I've said this already, do not turn in the same draft that you turn in for peer review. Don't do that. I'll be checking. I want a polished draft that you're turning in to me Monday after Thanksgiving. Okay? So, you know, we're winding down. Get her done.